Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to run through a couple examples. Make sure you have that yellow sheet out you got last time, and also your packet out, because we're going to do a couple problems out of both. Okay. So I want to remind you that the things we can prove, the theorems or postulates as they're known, that we can use to prove the triangles congruent are side, 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 and I wrote them up top here. Side, side, side. I can do side, angle, side, angle, and angle, angle, side. Okay? Alright. So those are your options. And the other one we can still use is hypotenuse leg. But that only works when it's hypotenuse leg, and we can only use that when it's a right triangle. But remember, we do not use ASS. There's no ass in math. Right? Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and look at example 3. So if I zoom in a little bit here, if you look, you already have a side and a side. So we don't have enough right there. But we need to figure out, is there something else that's congruent? Well, when you have two triangles together, and you have this, what do you know about those two angles? Is those two angles are also congruent. So now, what do you have, so I'll erase that, is you have a side, an angle, and a side. So these are congruent by side, angle, side. Remember, you got to read them in order, and if you go around the corner here or either direction, it's side, angle, side. Okay? Now let's go over and do number 7. So this is a right triangle. So remember, I could use one of the other ones, but also our other one that we had as a possibility was hypotenuse leg. Well, if you look at these two triangles, here's our hypotenuse on both those. So I need to see, do I have a leg on each of them? I sure do. So they are congruent by what? By hypotenuse and leg, which I can use when it's a right triangle. So they're congruent by HL, which is hypotenuse leg. Okay? All right. So let's look at our next one. All right. So this one's a little bit interesting because of a couple items. This means that these two sides are not congruent. It means that they're parallel to each other. Okay? So right now all I have is a side. I like the one 2 above, is I also have an angle. Okay? So I have an angle and a side, but that still is not enough. I need a third piece. I can't say anything about MN and NP, only if it was a bisector or that N was the midpoint, but it's not. But since these two lines are parallel, okay, these two angles are going to be congruent. And why are they? Because these lines are parallel, and this is your transversal, so these are alternate interior angles. So what do I have then? Is I have an angle, a side, and a what? Angle. So are they congruent? Yes. By what? Angle, side, angle. Okay, now we got to be careful here. So I'm going to erase a couple of the marks I had on here, which said angle, side, angle on it. Okay, because if we do M, N, I'm going to do a different color here. So if we go in the order of M, N, R, ooh, that's not what I wanted. I wanted this one. If we go M, N, R, so I go from the one with no marks on it to the central to the one with 2, so I'd have to go P, N, O. So it'd be triangle P, N, O. Alright? Alright, so let's go over to this one. Alright, so if I look at number 4, we got to be careful on this one, is I have an angle here, and I have a side. I'm sorry, boy, I can't even think. Those are sides. So I have a side, and an angle. Well, wait a minute, is that one of my 3? No, it's not, because that is our one that we can't have. It doesn't prove anything. So they are not congruent. And what is our reason? Because angle side side does not prove. So that's the first one that we've had that does not prove they're congruent. Does not prove congruence. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and look at number 8. So right now, I'm going to change back to red. I have a side and I have an angle, which as we know is still not enough. Okay, so he needed another angle or a side. Well, as we've seen on a lot of these share that one down the middle. So I know another side. So what do I have if I read it either direction is there. So they are congruent by side, angle, side. Okay? All right. So number 12. Number 12, you've got to be careful. All right, so this is the last one on this page we're going to do. It says E is the midpoint of AC. So if E is the midpoint of AC, what does that mean that those two pieces are going to be? They're going to be congruent to each other, so I'm going to mark them. Okay, angle D is congruent to angle what? B. Okay. All right, and what else do we know? We also know these are congruent. So if I go mark these as the way that they are, what do I have? Is I have an angle, angle, and I have a side. Is angle, angle, side one of them? If you look up here, it most certainly is. So are they congruent? Yes. And what's our reason? By angle, angle, side. All right. So let me do a little bit of or let's look at this. If you do ADE, so we want nothing to the mark to the central. I do from nothing to the marked angle to the central, I would have to do CBE. So naming them is one thing we've got to make sure we can do. Okay? All right. So the last thing I want to do is I want you to turn to page 7 in your packets. Okay? You look at page 7, and I'm going to do, I think, 2 of them off of here. Ones are a little trickier. Okay, so these are exactly the same. And you're just saying, are they congruent? Yes or no? Okay? So I want to do, oh boy, I'm not doing this so well. All right, so I want to go do number 13, and I also want to do number 9. Okay? So if you look at number 9, these two lines are parallel. Okay? So what does that tell us? Well, first of all, we know that these two angles are congruent. So I have one of them. Okay? I have on the inside here, these are alternate interior angles. Okay? And also these two are alternate interior angles. So what do I have here? I have an angle, and an angle. So I want you to look, is that one of them? Well, what did we have? We had angle, we had side, 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 we had side, angle, side, and we have angle, angle, side. We also have hypotenuse, leg. So is angle, angle, angle one of them? No. And that's because it was angle, angle, angle. Okay, you still want to give a reason. By the way, those two triangles are similar, but they are not congruent. Because that's what we did last unit, is when they were, when the angles were congruent, we knew that they were proportional, but they're not congruent. All right, so let's go down and look at number, I said I wanted to do 13. This is the last one, then you're going to work on page 7. Okay? So if you look at number 13, we're given that AC is congruent to BD. So I'm going to go mark those two. AD, this side, is congruent to this whole side. So right now I have a side, side. So I have my two triangles. We're really looking, by the way, at this triangle here and this triangle here. Okay, but do they have anything in common? They most certainly do. They have this one. So what do I have? I have a side, and a side. So is that one of them? Yes, it is. So what is it congruent by? Side, side, side. Okay? All right, I want to point out on number 14, is it says SQ, which is this one, and PR bisect each other. So what does that mean when they bisect each other? That means that they cut each other in half. So this one is congruent to this one, and PT is congruent to this one. Okay. All right. So you're going to finish page 7. Give you guys time to work on this one. Okay. There's going to be a bonus if you finish all your work today. It's more than page 7, but we're going to give you a few minutes to work on those. Okay. All right. Have a great day.